Hello everyone, welcome back to the show. Hope you're all having a great day today, and in this video we're going to be looking at some movie sequels that might be better than the original. As you all know, the original movies are usually better than the sequels, but sometimes they're not. I know, crazy, right? But I'm going to look at a list and see what I think about it, give it my feedback. So without any further ado, let's just hop right into it. The first movie on this list is Spider-Man 2. And it's basically saying that it's better than the Spider-Man movie from 2002. And I'll say I agree with this for sure. I think that the first Spider-Man movie was probably like a 9 out of 10 movie for me. There are definitely a few problems I have. I feel like it's a little bit inconsistent in tone, and some of the CGI green screen isn't that great. But when you get to the second movie, it's a lot more consistent in tone. Visually speaking, it looks pretty good. Basically, all the small problems that I had with the first movie are fixed, and this is really just a 10 out of 10 movie. Definitely very underrated. I don't know if I necessarily prefer Doc Ock over Green Goblin, but just as an overall movie, I think the quality is better than the first, and you definitely care for Peter Parker as a character as he struggles. He's just more relatable. You really connect with him as a viewer. Next up on the list is The Empire Strikes Back, and I definitely agree with this. Of course, the first one is great, but this is definitely the classic example. This might be actually the first time in history that a movie sequel was actually ever better than the original. I don't really know how to explain it other than it just takes everything about the first movie and then it just gets better. Next up, we have The Dark Knight. And this is kind of a hot take, but I actually disagree with this. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight are definitely very close for me, but I think Batman Begins is just definitely very underrated. And I think the Joker in The Dark Knight is by far like the best villain in the trilogy, but he's kind of almost too good to the point where he overshadows Batman, and I don't think they do anything as interesting with Batman's story as they do in the first movie. Another one we have is Toy Story 2, and I probably agree with this, but it's been a long time since I've seen those movies, so I would probably have to rewatch them. Another one on this list is Back to the Future Part 2, and I definitely disagree with this. The first one is still my favorite, but the second one is definitely underrated. Like, in my opinion, the second one is still like worth being on the top 10 movies of all time list. It's just not as good as the first because the first is just flawless, but the second one, of course, is definitely underrated. Here's another one, Paddington 2. It's definitely been a while since I've seen those movies, but I think I agree with this one. I feel like the first Paddington movie seemed like it got a little bit too dark for a kid's movie because there was some lady that was trying to kill him or something. In the second movie, I thought it just had a lot more funny stuff happen, but it has been a while since I've seen it. And then we have Batman Returns, and I disagree with this one. I don't really know what they say about this one, but I think Batman Returns just feels like Tim Burton had too much creative control as the director. I think he worked very good as a director in the first movie, where he didn't have much control over what the story was. But then what they did with the Penguin and Catwoman and that kind of stuff, it just seemed very different from the comics. And I still really like this movie, but it works better just as a movie itself than a Batman movie. Whereas the first one I just felt like was more similar to the comics and had a little bit more focus on Batman. Another common one people have been recently talking about was the new Top Gun Maverick movie, and I would say it is pretty close, but I would probably say Top Gun Maverick is better than the original because there is a better build up to the final battle because they actually established the conflict very early on. But there's still things like I think the love interest was better in the first one, as well as some of the side characters. But feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.